Welcome to Geek of Thrones, episode 4, Spoils of War. And if last episode was good, I think they're just going like this now. It started at like a 4 or 5, and then this one was awesome.
This was fantastic.
And it's crazy because I was for real out after last season. I had so many problems with it was shot well as a season, but I didn't like where it was going. Mm-hmm. This one is completely pulling back in. I was seeing people fight and dragons. I'm like, okay, you know what? Okay, I'm good. I'm back in. All right, so we'll try and just get through this as fast as we can. The first 2 scenes are not very important. You get Jamie on the road, and he's talking to Bronn. He gets some jokes with them. Basically, what you see is that they got the gold to be off the Iron Bank, and then you go from there to King's Landing. Cersei's all pompous. She's like, and she's talking to the Iron Bank. She's basically like, well, now that I'm paying you back, we might need friends, which is kind of like a red herring to what happens later. And then we get our first important scene. We go back to Winterfell, and we get to see, and this is only important because of an exchange at one point, but you get to see Peter and Bran talking.
Forced from your home, driven out to the wilds beyond the wall.
I imagine you've seen things most men wouldn't believe. To go through all of that and make your way home again only to find such chaos in the world. I can only imagine.
Chaos is a ladder.
And that's basically Baelish, playing Baelish games, talking and being coy, and he gives Bran the dagger back, and he's kind of seeing that it's not Bran anymore. And I thought this was an important scene because everybody, including myself, was completely creeped out by Bran last episode.
Yes.
But I think this was good because he explains that he's not Bran anymore. That everything that at one point was Bran, it's this haze, loss of memory. So the emotion of the things that he's supposed to be, he doesn't know how to be anymore. And you get a really good exchange when Baelish leaves. Actually, before Baelish leaves, Bran quotes him that chaos is a ladder.
Chaos is a ladder.
Which is a callback.
Yeah,
so.
This was back in season 3. Littlefinger and Varys had this interaction where Littlefinger told Varys, well, chaos is a ladder, and some people, try to climb the ladder and they fail, but basically telling him, I can use this ladder to come out on top. And Bran saying that to him was very significant. I think that was Bran's kind of way of letting him know, hey, I'm onto you. I know what you've been doing. I know that you whisper in people's ears. I know you're playing this game, and I've seen it all.
Yeah, it's kind of cool because it shows that maybe Bran is gone, but not all of it is gone because he still cares a little bit. Mm-hmm. But I thought that this scene was more significant because it's the last interaction with him and Mira Reed, and she comes in. She's like, "Hey, I'm gone," and he's just like, all right, bud, see you later. And she has this whole moment where she's just like, we've been through so much. My brother died, and these people died for you, and Hodor died for you, and I've been carrying you around. And okay, they'll talk about this, but a person who has no control over the left side of their body, a person has to actually help them use the restroom and do all types of things. So she's been cleaning this man for 2 years probably, and carrying him around on a sled. And he's just like, okay, bye. All right, bye. So it was a really cool moment for him to be he's saying the words, but he doesn't know what they mean anymore. Yeah. So then we leave there, we go back to Winterfell, and we finally get an actual Stark reunion, and that is Arya. We had thought that maybe Arya had turned back south, but she didn't. It was a really cool scene. She goes back, to the castle. She's underneath, and Sansa comes, and they have this moment where, and what I took from this was Sansa at first was she thought that she was Arya's better still, and it's she's over her still, and thinking that Arya's playing games about being a fighter still. When she starts talking about her list and everything. Yeah. And then you get them going to see Bran at the Old Gods tree. And Bran hands Arya the awesome dagger, and this is important for 2 things. One, it's just a really cool looking dagger. Yeah. Secondly, it's Valyrian steel, which means that Arya now has a weapon to fight against the undead. Yeah. which is like super important. All right, so and then we go back to Dragonstone. This entire episode's Dragonstone, Winterfell, Dragonstone, Winterfell, Dragonstone, and we get Dany and Jon's like cave scene basically, where like she comes in, and this wasn't very important to me at first, but when you go inside, I have expected to see Jon with like a piece of chalk in his hand or something, because those drawings are so crude and terrible. He's just like, oh look over here, there's White Walkers. I'm not crazy, and so it's Dany seeing what's going on. I think this scene's more important because it shows that they might have this like
they've got a chemistry
going or whatever, and
you can just being in the close quarters in this cave with the firelight and it's. The creepy...
I don't know how to feel about it. Because, I don't think that the mass audience understands that they're related. But, she is his aunt. And even though it's a different world, a different era and time, you're like, well, it's okay, I guess. But I don't know how people are going to feel about them, finally hooking up.
I think at this point, you kind of have to be okay with it. At this point, you kind of have to be okay with it because they're not brother and sister, which is... very prevalent through this whole thing, the Targaryens marry brother and sister. You've got Jaime and Cersei.
Yeah.
The fact that I think that they're aunt and nephew is probably better somehow in this Game of Thrones world. I don't know.
It works, I guess. I don't know. And so after that, we go back to Winterfell and we get a really cool scene. In fact, I'm just going to cut it right here and show the scene.
You can't use that, my lady. It's too small.
I won't cut you. Don't worry.
I'll try not to. Who taught you how to do that?
No one.
It's so awesome to okay, so Brienne, throughout the entire show, since she was introduced in season 2, she has been this really badass fighter.
Yeah.
And she's been arguably the best sword fighter going on, and she took out the Hound, took out Loras, and she's just always been so good. And Arya's like, okay, cool, what's up, whatever. And she's pulls out her sword, and she gets the better of her twice in a row. And then finally starts taking things seriously. Now, if they had met on the road, Arya would have killed her.
Oh,
I have no doubt Arya would have taken her out. And I think it's kind of cool to see that how far Arya's come, where she's from where she wanted to be, and unfortunately how she had to get to where she is, I'm sure she didn't want. But she's arguably the top 3 fighter now. I mean, on the show, it's I fully expect her to kill anybody now. I mean, it's nuts.
It was really nice to kind of see the comparison. I think when you think back to season 1, where she's taking her dance lessons, and they talk about the Bravo's water dance, to kind of see the juxtaposition of that against the traditional, fighting by the night.
Broad strokes,
I thought that was really, really neat, and I just love how you can see kind of Brienne getting more and more almost frustrated, because she underestimates this little girl with this pointy little stick. She's a knight, and this little girl is coming at her, and she realizes about halfway through, no, this girl is serious, and she still ends up getting the best of her.
It was really cool because how she ended it, and she tosses her sword, pulls out her dagger, this crazy flip thing, throws it at her throat. She's like, oh man, who taught her? She's like, no one. And that was like a baller line to say.
Oh yeah.
What was neat about this, them fighting, was watching Sansa. So like I was saying earlier, how Sansa was like still like lording over her. She's like, and it's kind of like both of them got to the level where they thought that they were going to get. Sansa always wanted to be like head of a household, princess, da 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 da. She is where she is. Arya was always in the dirt playing with boys, and now she is where she is. And it's like Sansa looked down at her, and it was almost like a jealousy that Arya was talking about her list. She's this like badass woman that doesn't need her anymore or whatever. And it was kind of cool to see.
Yeah, I think in addition to that, I think we also saw a little bit of what I think is fear in Littlefinger. We saw earlier Bran knows that he's playing these games, and now Bran has given Arya this dagger, and I don't know if anybody, if you think back to, I don't remember season 2 or season 3.
Which one?
Where Arya was undercover basically as a slave for Tywin.
Okay.
Was the last time she saw Littlefinger, and he was helping Tywin conspire against the Starks. So, me personally, I think he saw a little bit of fear that kind of, the Starks are coming together and maybe they're going to piece together.
Yeah.
Kind
Now,
of
I mean,
he's done.
technically, Peter didn't notice her as his hand. But who knows? I mean, like maybe he found out somehow, whatever. But like, I think that would be like a fun thing. I mean, I would hate to see Baelish die, or whatever. But I think he's one of the characters that everybody will be okay with.
You don't have to stick up for
I know.
him, so.
We leave there. We go back to Dragonstone. It's a really small scene. Doesn't really matter. We see like a really quick interaction with Jon talking to like Theon, and you're feeling like Jon's gonna like freak out and punch him in the face. But he basically says like I would kill you, but you helped out Sansa.
So.
It is what it is, There was like a little like fun interactions also with like Davos, Jon, and like Sandy talking whatever. Almost every scene with Davos is great. So it was great.
Davos is fantastic.
And we finally get to the explosive, amazing end of the entire episode. We get Jon basically, Jaime Lannister. Excuse me. It's him, Bronn, and Randall Tarley and his son Dickon, which Bronn just laughs at his name, and that was so Bronn, and it's I
just love it.
I love him. He's around since the like very first season. He's been a fan favorite. He's great, and they're slowly taking their spoils of war, going back, and like Bronn stops everybody from talking because he hears these loud horse noises.
What? Listen.
I'm not abandoning my army.
You're the commander, not a damn infantryman. Those fuckers are about to swamp us.
And we see finally the wild herd, coming at him, the Dothraki, and it's like you were saying that it's been so long, we forget that they are awesome fighters, awesome on horseback. They're wild, they're insane, and so it was really cool to see them come in because the Lannisters just took out Highgarden, and it's not a fight or anything.
Yeah.
Those boys don't know how to fight. And these guys came in and just beat the crap out of them. It was awesome.
It was not, you kind of see that moment where the Lannisters who came in and they took down Highgarden like it was nothing, they formed their line as a blockade basically for these horses, and you can see the men shaking because they're so terrified by this just mass force that is coming in. But they're gonna, do their best to stand their ground, and clearly that doesn't work out well for them.
Yeah, what was great was that Bronn and Jaime talking like Bronn's son, and look, run out of here, leave, this isn't worth it. He's like, no, this is, things are gonna be okay. And then you hear wings, and then finally after 6 years we get our first dragon fully just going ham on somebody. There's been small scenes here and there, but this is the full you get the entire, it coming in like dive bombing.
Was Aegon the Conqueror
Yeah.
again? Yeah.
It was like they talked about after the episode that this was the first time to like really allow Dany to just go like full force because she's been like held back, by everybody, and it was it was just like you in your head you think, okay, like it's a dragon, we just fire some arrows at it, and it's a whole other thing. It was great.
That was fantastic. I think they mentioned in the segment after the show that this was actually the first time we've seen two main characters coming up against each other, which was very important because most of the time, we see these battles on the show often, and the Battle of the Bastards. Obviously, we want Jon Snow to win that, and in this situation, who do you want to win? I mean, you can't pick. Do you want Dany to win? Do you want Jaime to? Who's gonna die? Who's gonna come out alive? And I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. Man,
I'll say that I love Bronn, and like he got so many lines in this episode. I thought this was his last episode.
Yeah,
I was like, because like, at one point he's being chased down and stuff, and he's fighting for his life, and then like you see the dragon coming. I'm like, he's gonna die, and then he goes in the like caravan. Mm-hmm. He shoots that fucking ballista. Aims dude, drops down the net, and you got like this crazy action sequence of him like turning it around and like cranking it up. And just like, what? And like it was, so I might have been wrong. I mean, like maybe it's dangerous. I mean, like so like you finally get Bronn, he finally cracks Drogon with this huge arrow, and it didn't put him down. I mean, like it more or less just annoyed him. It hurt him. Yeah, but it is what it is. What was cool, I think, about this was as the whole battle was raging, you see Tyrion on the hill, and you got this really like sad and like somber moment where Tyrion is like he's seeing his own people die. It's one thing to talk about it. Mm-hmm. It's another thing to watch your brethren die. Yeah. And I think it was like a really conflicting moment for him. It's because you've got to remember that these men are not his enemy. These are men that have fought for his family and worked beside him, I'm sure, and it's the Cersei is his enemy. Yeah. And it's unfortunately, these men are kind of taking the brunt of that. But the moment that got me was where he's looking over this hill and he can see that Drogon has landed. Daenerys is trying to get the spear out of his side, and he sees Jaime make eye contact with... not eye contact. He sees Jaime notice a spear, basically.
Flee, you idiot.
Come on, boy. Come on.
You idiot. You fucking idiot.
And he realizes what his plan is, and he, under his breath, he goes, "Just flee, you idiot." Yeah. And he's because he wants his brother to be safe. He loves his brother, and he's kind of hoping, he wants Daenerys to win, but he wants his brother to be out of harm's way. It was a crazy scene because we're watching, and Jaime's riding up and grabs a spear, and like I love Jaime Lannister, and so I was like kind of cheering for him to just like kill Dany right then and there.
But I knew that
I
like.
didn't want her to die either.
But it's like I knew that wasn't gonna happen because it's like the 4th episode. So I was like, maybe this is where like Jamie dies, right here, whatever. But no, MVP Brian out of nowhere jumps over, takes out Jamie from the fire breath, and it kind of ends with him like in the water,
sinking with his super armor.
So I don't know how he's gonna get out of the water.
Hopefully he didn't die.
Yeah, I don't know how that's gonna end or whatever. But it was a super exciting episode. We get to see some stuff from next episode, and it looks pretty exciting. There was one really cool thing that I saw, and that was there is an interaction with Jon Snow and a dragon. So I'm wondering if this is when like things finally happen or whatever here. Would be really, really cool. When you're talking about Arya maybe taking out Baelish, I'm gonna take a guess here. I think that she's gonna do a faceless transformation as Sansa and trick him into the room and then kill him or whatever.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
That'd be crazy. That'll be awesome. Or maybe as her mom or something. I don't know, something cool and creepy like that. I think whatever. But now like forever I was a fan of Arya. Now and I wasn't. Now I'm just full on board. Let's go. Just like a side story of her.
Yeah,
oh my god.
Just her battle with Brienne was
so much fun.
It was amazing.
Oh my god. Okay, so that is the end of this episode. Come back next week. It'll be the 5th episode. There's only 3 more?
Yeah.
And then that's it. And then we gotta wait a whole other a year or something?
Year and a half.
It's insane. I might be dead by then. Who knows? It's insane. Come back next week for Geek of Thrones, episode 5. Stay geekly. Thank you.